Hey, here's a question. How could God possibly truly know us? I mean, there's billions of us on the earth, and there's billions of us who have already lived, and there's worlds without number. So how could the Lord know any of us in any kind of a personal, intimate way? Let's explore that today. Now, first off, how all-knowing is God? The prophet Jacob clarified this for us in 2 Nephi 9:20, where he said, "For he knoweth all things, and there is not anything save he knows it." So it kind of seems all-inclusive. God knows all things, past, present, future, and everything going on in between. But that boggles our minds, and it just doesn't seem possible. Have you ever struggled to believe that God cares genuinely about you and personally? Well, not only does God see everything on the macro level, wars and peace in the Middle East, but also he sees us perfectly in the micro level, personally. In Matthew 10:30, it says, "But the very hairs of your head are all numbered." Most of us don't even really care how many hairs are on our heads until you about get my age, but God knows. And if God cares about the little things like how many hairs are on your head, then how much more does he care about the things that really matter to you? I recently shared a short video about how often God thinks about you personally that relates to this, and I'll post at the end of this video. But now let's look at how he does this and how he cares for us so personally. Years ago, I came to the conclusion that God must not think on a one-track mind like you and I. As humans, we can really only think of one thing at once. That's a part of our minds. But I imagine that God had a multi-track mind where he can think about an infinite number of things all at once. In the book, I have a few quotes from Orson Pratt that's teaching something similar to this that maybe we'll consider later, but there might be another way in which God is able to do this. In a fascinating way, C.S. Lewis addressed this idea, which has dramatically changed my thinking about God. In his book, Mere Christianity, Lewis is addressing how God can hear so many prayers all at the same time. There he says, "Now the first thing to notice is that the whole sting of it comes in the words 'at the same moment.' Most of us can imagine God attending to any number of applicants if only they came one by one and he had an endless time to do it in. So what is really at the back of this difficulty is the idea of God having to fit too many things into one moment of time. Well, that is of course what happens to us. Our life comes to us moment by moment. One moment disappears before the next comes along, and there is room for very little in each. That is what time is like. And of course, you and I tend to take it for granted that this time series, this arrangement of past, present, and future, is not simply the way life comes to us, but the way all things really exist. We tend to assume that the whole universe and God himself are always moving from past to future, just as we do. But many learned men do not agree with that. It was the theologians who first started the idea that some things are not in time at all. Later, the philosophers took it over, and now some of the scientists are doing the same. Almost certainly, God is not in time. His life does not consist of moments following one another. If 1,000,000 people are praying to him at 10:30 tonight, he need not listen to all of them in that one snippet which we call 10:30. 10:30 and every other moment from the beginning of the world is always the present for him. Those are deep thoughts, and more of what Lewis is saying is in the book and also included in mine. I love this thought because it gives a possible explanation for how God knows us perfectly and completely. It also explains why his love can be so intense for each one of his children. When we have children, we love them all, but our time and attention does get divided up among them. But with God, his attention is never divided, nor is he ever distracted. It also seems to me that perhaps Elder Orson Pratt and C.S. Lewis are speaking on the same idea, but maybe from different viewpoints. Building on this idea of God not dwelling in time, Alma 40 verse 8 teaches that, quote, "All is one day with God, and time is only measured unto men." Likewise, in Revelation 10:6, it says that, quote, "There should be time no longer." As was quoted with Joseph Smith earlier, the past and the present and the future were and are with him, God, one eternal now. In conclusion, God knows us thoroughly and entirely. Elder Jeffrey R. Holland put it this way: somehow God can focus on every one of us personally, know the concerns and fears of each one of us uniquely. We are seemingly the sole object of His affection and attention. In those times of our need, it is as if no other voice distracts Him, no other need in the universe diverts Him. God does not need to divide His time between His children. Not only does God have all the time in the world for you, but God spends all of that attention on you with care and consideration as if you were His only child. Only the Lord truly knows us. So in our next video, we'll go another step and learn how this affects more things and how it affected the atonement. So have a great day, my friend.